You're listening to Edge Radio TV. The views and opinions expressed in this program are that of the hosts or guests, and not the Edge Radio Network or its advertisers or affiliates.
Welcome, my viewers, back to another edition of the Athletes United platform here on Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. I am, of course, your host, Big Mel, also known as his judgeship, master of all that he surveys, and final arbiter of all that comes before him. Happy to have you aboard today. We have an interesting show. We have a magnificent entrepreneur here with us this morning, Mr. Guy Douglas. He has important device and some rather well-researched healthcare and instrumentality of healthcare, men's health. He'd like to introduce us to today. Welcome this morning, Guy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic, fantastic. I've heard so much about what you indulged in of late. Can you give us your synopsis of why this is important and what it is that it affects?
Well, first of all, I'm not a doctor, but I've had a lot of experience with my own health and dealing with doctors, and it's given me this passion for people to understand health and make it a little bit more simple. And so I got involved in this company. It's been around for 7 years, Perfect Health for Life. And
say that name again.
Perfect Health for Life.
Perfect Health for Life.
Number 4, not FOR.
I see.
Perfect Health for Life. That's right. But anyway, so I've just developed this passion, and I've connected with people that know what they're doing, from scientists to doctors and pharmacists and so on. And so one of our, we've got several products, obviously, but we're big on 3 things. Immune system, we're talking about protecting our environment as far as electromagnetic fields, and then also things like testosterone and just the hormones that control our bodies and what affects our moods and our just our feelings. And so we focus on those 3 things. And one of our main products as far as hormones go is a product called Alpha Male and Alpha Female.
Okay.
And this product was created by 2 doctors. One of them is Dr. Joby John. He's a compounding pharmacist. And then the other doctor is not only a pharmacist, but also a medical doctor. And that's Dr. Richard Harris, who's also joining us today.
Oh, fantastic. What were the compelling circumstances that got them involved in this kind of research?
Well, from my end or their end?
From their end.
Their end, well, they're hormone specialists, hormone replacement specialists. So this has become a passion of theirs as well. And Dr. Harris, I'm sure, can answer it better than I can, because he's the one that, every time I talk to him, he teaches me something new.
That's interesting.
Yep.
Well, without further ado, should we bring him aboard?
Absolutely. Let's bring him on.
Welcome to the show this morning, Dr. Richard Harris. How are you this morning, Doc?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you guys for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And I always firstly like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me to come and speak with you guys today.
By all means. Indeed. We're sitting here talking about, I heard you mention electromagnetic fields, and we're talking hormones. It's probably important to point out that our entire bodies are receptors of all kinds of impacts environmentally. So give us a little sense of what electromagnetic sensation means.
Sure. So I like to describe it as energy medicine. Our bodies do function like a battery. We have a charge, and there are things that we can't see that pass around us and even through us at all times. And this is that electromagnetic spectrum. And you can basically think of it as energy waves. And we pick up on all different kinds of energy. Like if you have someone around you who's negative, well, what do you start to feel? You start to feel down because that energy gets transferred to you. And so we have microwaves and radio waves and other types of waves around us that are interacting with our own physiology. And our ancestors didn't have a lot of these man-made waves. They had natural waves from the earth, positive EMF, natural waves from the sun, positive EMF, and then we've created a bunch of man-made EMF. And this disrupts the very function of our cells. It basically makes it so you can't get nutrients in the cells as efficiently and can't get toxins out. And so that is the whole premise of the scalar energy and some of these energy medicine fields is how do we reorient our batteries? How do we recharge our cells so that they can do what they need to do?
Huh. So doctor and guy, this is peer-reviewed stuff you're working with here. I mean, we're talking, well, evidence-based science. Right?
Yeah, well, absolutely, especially from the hormone side, and that's where Dr. Harris specializes, is in the hormone side with the product Alpha Male and Alpha Female. And so, actually, I'd like for him to talk a little bit about how and why they even developed the product.
Okay, let's interview him. Why don't we? Doctor, you're on the spot here.
It's
okay.
No, I'm used to it. You know, I have a podcast and I do a lot of speaking, so I love being on the spot. But me and my friend Joby, we were talking about hormone replacement one day and how a lot of people kept coming to us and say, "Hey, is there something natural I can take?" And I would say, yes, but I got to combine like 3 or 4 different products. That's a hard sell to people to tell them to take 3 or 4 different supplements to achieve one goal. And so we kind of were on the phone one day joking around about we should make our own supplement. And we hung up. A week later, I called him back. I was like, Joby, I've been thinking about this. We should do it. And he says, yeah, I've been thinking about this too. Let's do it. And what we did then was we did a deep literature dive about what can we create and formulate that's going to be the best overall supplement on the market that also uses quality ingredients, because we're both huge on quality. You know, there's a lot of supplements out there that you don't know what you're getting in the supplement. You don't know if the doses have been arbitrarily picked, like why is it 10 milligrams or 15 milligrams? They, you know, sometimes it's just arbitrarily picked. Well, we did a deep literature dive and we were so confident in the quality of our product and the literature behind it that it's all there. You know, we don't hide the literature. We don't hide the quality. You can go and see the literature directly from our site, where we're picking up this information from and where we got the individual ingredients based upon the scientific literature. And I think that's so important to both of us and why we stand by the product. We take the product. You know, I always ask people, do you take your own product?
Yes.
You know, you hear stories about people who work at fast food restaurants, like the executives, they don't even let their kids eat the fast food, right? That just lets you know all you need to know right there.
Exactly.
So I'm very happy with this product. We've seen a lot of great results with the product. And I personally have a story here where I was working nights as a physician and it wrecked my hormones. My testosterone dropped 500 points.
Wow.
My stress markers were through the roof. And that's right when I started taking the product. And once I started taking the product, my testosterone went back to normal. My stress markers went back to normal. I felt better. And now if I stop taking the product, I feel different. And I've heard this story time and time and time again, testimonial after testimonial of people who have tried other products like ours, who said they didn't work, and they try ours and they actually feel the difference because ours is actually evidence-based and quality-based.
Interesting. So I don't know if this is preventative therapy or if it's something that's the outcomes are anecdotal. Is that, for example, would I do a lab or something 6 weeks later to determine if something biologically has changed within me? chemically? How would I verify this?
Yeah, so we've actually done that. We've seen testosterone levels go up, and I'll tell this one story because my client allows me to do this. But he was a guy, he came to me, he was trying to have a second child. He was told by his PCP his testosterone was really low, and that's why he couldn't have a child, and they wanted to put him on testosterone replacement therapy. But he said, well, what can I do naturally to increase my testosterone first? And I said, okay, I have a product here that's going to help. He's a engineer, so he's a high stress job. And I said, okay, we're going to get you on the product, but supplements are supplements. They're meant to aid things. And we're also going to do some things that will naturally increase your testosterone. Mm-hmm. So we got him on the supplement. We helped him with some nutrition, exercise, sleep, some basic things. And his testosterone went from 100 to 650 in 3 months, and he got his wife pregnant. So that story really resonates with me because that dramatically impacted someone's life for the better, a generation for the better. And I really feel pride whenever I tell that story that we were able to help someone with a high quality product.
Doctor, these products, what has become known as bioidentical, I mean, are they derived from things that are naturally occurring in our biosphere? Where do we get this stuff?
Yeah, so these aren't bioidentical hormones. Bioidentical hormones are you take the hormones that our bodies naturally produce and then you get them in the body somehow, either through injectable pellets or dissolvable tablets under the tongue or injections. And there are a lot of people who want those type of therapies, but there are a lot of people who said, no, I want to do something natural first. And so all of our product is a collection of herbs, all from Mother Earth, all natural remedies that actually have scientific data behind them showing that they help with balancing of hormones. And one of the things that differentiates our product from a lot of the ones on the market is something called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha has been used in Ayurvedic medicine for as long as people can probably remember. And it is a wonderful herb that controls stress reactions. So when the literature was starting to come out about this herb, people were using it for stress, but then all of a sudden you started to see literature pop up that this actually helps regulate hormones because our stress hormones have the same precursor as our sex hormones, our testosterone, our estrogen, and that type. So if your stress hormones are really high because you're stressed out all the time, you're going to decrease production of the other hormones. And so by balancing the stress hormones, we help naturally regulate the sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and those types. And then you also get a little bit of thyroid balance with this product. Ashwagandha does help the thyroid function a little bit better. And then we also have natural ingredients that help with dopamine. Dopamine is the reward neurotransmitter, the reward chemical in the brain. And so this actually helps you feel more satisfied with life, feel better throughout the day. And so what we really love about this product is it's working on multiple inputs into the hormone system because these hormones all act together. They all act in concert. They have something that we call the entourage effect, where it's them and their crew, and they're all going to do maybe some things a little bit separate. Maybe sometimes they roll together and they do the same thing. So that's really what differentiates this product.
Well, you got us intrigued, Doc, and we want to expound on that a little bit more. You're talking about dopamine and all these terms that are so familiar in the athletic world and athletic realm. We want to explore that a little bit more when we come right back after this message.
Edge Radio TV is holding auditions for new show hosts. Are you a subject matter expert, professional, influencer, book author, thought leader, or business owner with an educational or motivational platform? Then we want to meet you. Send a link of some of your work to edgeradio20@gmail.com and be sure to put audition in the subject line. Join the Edge Radio TV family. Edge TV, because truth still matters.
And we're back, talking with Dr. Richard Harris and Guy Douglas regarding Perfect Health for Life products. And as we broke, Doctor was taking us through some of the various chemicals that we derive from human activity, like dopamine. And give us a little more breakout on that.
Yeah, so we've heard a lot about dopamine. Dopamine is the reward neurotransmitter. It helps us feel happy sometimes. People will say that. It helps us feel satisfied. And its dysregulation can cause some issues. This is where carb addiction and junk food addiction and things like that, it dysregulates the dopamine pathway. Well, I'm going to get a little bit ancestral on us for a second. So when we think about sex hormones, what is the purpose of sex hormones? For us to reproduce. And so if we are stressed, we're not going to make our sex hormones, because that's us telling us our environment is not safe. Our environment is not safe for us to reproduce. And then think about it also, if you're not happy, that's another signal that the environment is not safe. And so you're not going to make these sex hormones. So dopamine actually does help us increase our sex hormones. And that is a comprehensive mechanism. And that's why we love the product, because we're not just hitting one input. Some people do need hormone replacement. They do. But if you're getting hormone replacement, you're just throwing one thing into the pot. It's like making a soup and all you do is put in broth.
I see.
Right? Maybe your soup only needs broth because you have all the other ingredients. Maybe your soup needs a little bit of carrots. Maybe it needs some celery. Maybe it needs some more salt. And so we've kind of thrown together all of those ingredients to make sure that you have a complete soup.
I see. Is this exclusive men's health therapy, or could this be more looking across the broad community? I mean, women and young adults, what have you?
Yeah, so our female product is more tuned towards women who are meaning around menopause, and postmenopausal, because of some of the hormone changes that happen around that time period. And then the alpha male, we say anyone around the age of 30, because that's when testosterone levels start to naturally decline, is a candidate who should consider taking a look at this. I'm 38. I started taking the product at 36, and I will continue to take the product. I check my testosterone levels. I stay around 800, 900 regularly. And it's partially because of the product. I'm a doctor. That's a high stress job, very high stress. And this, like I said before, this product does help regulate the stress. And so those are kind of the two groups that we're primarily targeting. Postmenopausal or perimenopausal women with the alpha female, and then men above the age of 30. And, we're not trying to be discriminatory. It's just the hormone cycles for men are a little bit more predictable than women, until women hit menopause. Then the menopausal cycles are a little bit more predictable. And so that's really how we can be able to efficiently target the systems that we need to target with the product.
Guy, we talk about men's health sometimes. It's typically limited to a couple of Advils and some Viagra. You know what I mean? What he's letting us know today is that men's health is as about as complex as anything else. Fighting off EMFs, dealing with, hormone kinds of dissipation over the years, just getting into some of the physical rewards we derive from supplementing ourselves. So, Doctor, we really appreciate what you're telling us here today. Is this product preventative, or is it therapeutic for daily living?
Yeah, I am a huge fan of prevention. That's actually what I do in my business now. I don't do so much treatment. I focus more on the prevention and wellness side. And for me, even though now I don't have testosterone issues like I did before when I was working nights, I still take the product as a preventative measure to help with stress, to help with the dopamine regulation, to help with something called sex hormone binding globulin. So a lot of times, a lot of conditions will cause our testosterone to be bound up or our sex hormones to be bound up, and they can't be used. And so that's another aspect that we didn't even talk about that the product helps regulate. So that's why we recommend for men that, around the age of 30, you can start taking the product. Sure. Probably even younger now, because unfortunately, because of obesity and poor nutrition and people being sedentary, our hormone levels are starting to plummet at earlier and earlier ages. And same for women around the menopausal time, and that's when a lot of women can have issues related to hormones and feel very symptomatic and have dramatic impacts in their quality of life. And so we want to try to prevent that from happening by regulating the system before it happens. But if you're already going through it, this could be something that can help you by regulating the hormone pathways.
I see. Well, doctor, is there a danger, some biological danger of living with a low T condition? I mean, what are the risks?
Yeah, it's interesting. So there is some evidence that you can have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. There's some evidence that shows that you can have an increased risk of aggressive prostate cancer with low testosterone levels. Bone density is another thing. We're seeing men with fragility fractures. That's something you never used to see 15, 20 years ago. Now we see men come in with broken hips and broken femurs. Now, that was exclusively what we used to think of as a disease of frail older women. Also, these hormones have trophic, meaning feeding effects for the brain. So hormone dysregulations have been linked to Alzheimer's disease and some of these other neurocognitive diseases as well. So hormones are so powerful. They have so many different effects. Like I talked about, that entourage effect, and the dysregulation happens usually at multiple points. So whenever you're looking at a complex systems require complex fixes. If you put a simple fix into a complex system, you don't know what you're going to get because you don't know what you're going to throw out of whack. And so that's why I've talked about how we've systemically targeted different inputs into the system, so we make sure that the entire system is regulated and balanced.
So, cognitively speaking, human beings, the human species, is one big bag of hormones in many respects, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of different hormones that do lots of different things that can easily get thrown out of whack if we're not doing the right things to take care of ourselves. And so, I always tell people, can the supplement help you? Yes, but don't just depend on it. The supplement can help, but if you're eating McDonald's 3 times a day, you're not going to get as much benefit as someone who is actively working on a wellness plan that includes the supplement as part of their wellness plan.
Interesting. Some of my colleagues, Doc, I've noticed are wearing something called a scalar. What is that? I mean, can you explain what that is? A scalar device? You ever heard of that?
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of energy medicine. I've got podcasts on PEMF, pulse electric magnetic fields, and how that's beneficial. I've got a podcast on infrared therapy and how infrared therapy is beneficial to us. And then scalar energy is another type of energy medicine. It's been around for a long time. And what we know is that there are ways that we can block harmful EMF and ways that we can convert harmful EMF. And that's essentially what scalar energy does. And what are the benefits there? Like we talked about, at the fundamental level, if your batteries are not operating well, you cannot move things through your body. So our body works on pump systems. There are some things that are passive, like they'll just move across gradients. A lot of things need to be actively pumped, and we do so by using energy. That's why our cells are essentially batteries. And so if the batteries are not charged properly, the pumps don't work properly. And then that's how you can have symptoms and disease. And some people are more sensitive to this than others. Some people are very sensitive to EMF changes. And scalar energy is something that can actually help you protect your body from those harmful EMF signals. And they're everywhere. One of the things I put in my wellness course is how you can protect yourself from EMF, harmful EMF, because there's beneficial EMF and there's harmful EMF too.
Well, Doctor, you've enlightened us to a great degree. Guy, I know that you've been a huge supporter of this kind of therapy, this kind of medicine, this kind of approach to better living and healthy living. What would you give us from your perspective?
Well, first of all, I'm big on natural, number one. And so, as I said, first of all, for me, it's about keeping your immune system high. And there's so many products out there that you can do that with, but so many of them, people rely on things like vitamin C. So just real quick, vitamin C, most vitamin C that's out there is strictly ascorbic acid. Our vitamin C is a whole vitamin C. So it comes from the acerola berry. And so one dose of our vitamin C, you'd have to sit down and eat 88 oranges.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Really?
So there's just so much junk that's out there. Sure. So as far as just building your immune system. And so we've incorporated that. And then, of course, like I said, the protection of the EMFs with scalar energy. We want to protect ourselves. And then the same thing with keeping our hormones balanced and keeping our testosterone up and controlling our stress. We're going to continue to add products. But right now, these are our mother products that really seem to be doing a lot for a lot of people. And I love getting the stories.
We've got to get your website. That has to be a retail outlet or e-commerce someplace that we could go get your product. So give us that URL if you have it.
Well, our website is perfecthealthforlife.com.
Perfecthealthforlife.com.
Right, just number 4.
And it's the number 4 as opposed to FOUR. Perfecthealthforlife.com. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Both of you gentlemen have been indeed a blessing to us this morning and helping us understand better what this whole men's health and wellness thing is all about. I appreciate your time this morning, guys. I appreciate your time, Dr. Harris. Right. Thank you so much for your presence. You've given us more than we asked for this morning, and we're grateful. Can you come back?
Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. You come back and update us sometime.
I definitely will.
Absolutely. You've been listening to the Athletes United platform, which on the EdgeNet Radio Network, where truth still matters. And we've spoken to Guy Douglas and Dr. Richard Harris. And we'll be back here this time next week, ladies and gentlemen and viewers. Thank you so much, and we're out.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters. The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information.
And my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay.
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
We work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
I'm trying not to lose my head.
Hey, this is the Talk About Unity show where I bring the talk.
And I bring the unity.
And together we talk about unity. Unity is what matters.
Come on.
And right now in our country, that's what we've got to do. So we do that here at Talk About Unity on the Edge Radio Network. Be with us every week.
It's going to be awesome. It always is. And I tell you what, the more we seek first to understand, then be understood, we make progress.
And we like to do that. And that's why everybody's on the brink. We love what we do at Edge Radio because everybody's on the edge. We bring them back from the edge and we bring the unity. So we're just glad. Edge Radio Network every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Talk About Unity because here at Edge Radio Network, truth still matters.
Welcome again to the platform of Athletes United. We're here on the Edge Radio Network, where truth still matters. And we're delighted to have a young man with us today who's going to enlighten you. I'm eager to talk to him. Dr. Darren Brown, he's an expert in behavioral science, and he's a practitioner in organizational development. I want to hear him break that down a little bit. Please give us some insight. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Big Mel. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me today.
Pleasure.
So in just terms of breaking it down, organizational behavior is about how organizations perform. And really, what is an organization? An organization is a conglomerate of different people from different backgrounds, different circumstances, different experiences. You can say from a simple perspective, baggage.
Baggage.
That's what an organization is, right? A bunch of baggage from individuals. So organizational development is just about trying to figure out how to help those organizations perform the best at achieving their goals, understanding that people bring their own baggage and their own emotions. So we put practices, methodologies in place to help people to deal with their personal situations so that they can be more impactful at work.
Interesting.
That's what organizational behavior is all about. You want to establish a culture of performance, understanding individuals.
That's pretty succinct. So imagine there's there's a company somewhere, some kind of strategic objectives they're trying to reach. They hire a bunch of folk to perform various functions. You're saying that someone with your ilk walks in and says, guys, here's the way north, here's the kind of patterns of behavior, here's the performance metrics, etc.
Absolutely. So not necessarily establishing the performance metrics, but it's Athletes United, right? It's a team.
Yes.
It's still a team.
Yes.
And everybody plays a role on that team. So we have point guards, we have power forwards, we have centers. Athletes United. That's what this is.
There it is.
It is highly competitive in the field of business. You're competing against the environment, you're competing against other competitors, and a lot of times what we want people to do is we want people to compete against themselves. So yes, what we walk in and do is, first thing we walk in and do is we understand where the organization wants to go.
Yes. Yes.
Then what we do also is we try to understand what the organization believes is their current state. So we say, hey, so where do you want to go? What is your current state? And then we help them to look at what that gap is in between from a behavioral perspective. And we try to align programs, methods, processes, mental health, physical health, things that people need, especially today in times of change. We try to help them to understand what that gap is and develop programs specific to the context of that organization that will help those people improve, but also to create a more holistic culture that not only cares about business performance, but physical health and mental health as well. That's important.
Interesting. So you want to integrate the human experience into business.
You have to, in terms of organizational development. I'll often tell people, you can make all type of strategy and plans, but there's something that we say is that culture eats strategy for breakfast. Right? So we have to be certain that the people side is taken care of, because what are we all? It's relationship based.
Sure.
And we have to have relationships. So remember this, most people who work normal jobs spend more time at work in their 8 to 12 hours a day than they spend at home with their families.
Well, I hadn't thought of it that way. That's pretty true. So much of this is human capital management.
Human capital management, and there's another part that I don't, that I want us to remember as well. As healthy as your organization is at home, is as healthy as your organization will be at work. Because your home is really your first organization that you must be able to successfully or effectively manage organizational behavior in. What's in your home, you take out to the marketplace. You take out to the church, you take out to the community, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, to your football teams, youth organizations. Whatever happens in the home is the baggage you carry everywhere you go. So organizational behavior is not just about Fortune 500 companies and enterprises. It's about our homes.
Our essence.
Absolutely, our essence, and that's where it starts at. So, very fun field, very exciting. Human behavior, psychology. Just understanding the whys behind people do what they do, and there's a deep subject when it comes down to health in terms of a lot of people I know suffer from PTSD.
Sure.
So, but it's all about health, and that's what organizational behavior is. Absolutely.
Wow. So one day while you were a senior in high school, you woke up one day and said, I know what I was doing. I'll go off and just study what the hell is wrong with something like that. Is that right?
So I won't say it was that soon, a senior in high school, right? But since I was young, I've always had an intuition, but I lacked a lot of direction, and I made a lot of mistakes, right? And meaning, I used to push wanting to help. I used to push let me just say this: me wanting to help and me wanting to do so much, I sometimes push people away. Right? So I understood kind of what I wanted to do, but I had zero direction, very little, education or knowledge, but I had the will. And all of my life, I'm, 48 years old today. I've followed my life, to that education level, and I'm still getting certifications. I'm still doing these things. So yes, I'm in terms of I woke up one day and said, "This is what I want to do the rest of my life." Absolutely, it just wasn't. It just wasn't when I was a senior in high school.
I see. Interfere with the Friday night football game and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Listen, I did. I played a lot of those sports too. I was actually all-state quarterback in high school in Louisiana.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So leadership has been kind of your mantra.
I knew it from a very early age, from pee-wee football when I played quarterback. Yes. I played pitcher, catcher, basketball. I played point guard. I knew it. I just didn't know how to direct it. And I met some people along the way, who helped to mentor me and shape me. So yes, it's always been there, and I just have much more direction and clarity now today than I had then. But I still got so much more to learn.
Paul.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and tell people you are Dr. Darren Brown, okay?
I mean,
this is a study, it's a field study that's has strong academics behind it.
Yeah, it does. That's not something that I just put out there too often. When people talk about it, there's a time and a place to put a pedigree on the table,
sure.
Right? But for the most part, I just want people to know that I want to help them to be a better version of themselves. And not only do I want to help them, that I have the skills and the capability to help them, so them and organizations. So I just, go around on a day-to-day basis, just kind of giving, just helping people. I could see somebody in the supermarket, see somebody at a ball game, and the conversation kicks up, and they're like, "Man, what do you do?" And I just tell them, I just do a little consulting for organizations, around organizational development. I don't tell them the whole story because there's no need.
Sure.
So the need is really the help that you can offer, and that's what I'm sorry, not help, because people are not helpless. The support that you can offer, right? So it's just a framing perspective.
At the White House, you'd be called chief of staff or something.
At the White House, I would want to be called leader of organizational change, because I'm not interested in being a chief of staff. I'm interested in how, really, so that you mentioned that, just talking about the White House, I'm a huge advocate for properly leading and managing change the right way. I don't have to have the executive role and all of that stuff, chief of staff. What I want to be certain of is that in the White House, the very nature of what we do is for the citizens of the United States. So I want to be certain that we're communicating the right way, that we're driving home the right messages, that everybody, that people has a voice. I'd be trying to create ambassador programs around the country that allow feedback to get to the White House. That's a whole nother story, right? I go on a rant about that some other time, right? But I might be chief of something, but it'd be more around change management, change leadership, and just making certain that people are aware and understand their role in what we're trying to do, and how what we're trying to do is going to, be of value and impact for them, and just trying to influence other people who might not agree to these particular set of policies, trying to show them the benefit. And so we can just move away from the straight political lines.
Doc, let's be clear about one thing. Inside organizations, there's going to be change, irrespective of whether it's good or bad.
And politics.
So it's a matter of how it's guided. Is that what I'm telling you?
It's a matter of how you get there. It's a matter of your approach. So there's a term that we use, and it's called VUCA, right? VUCA. That's the environment that we live in.
Wait a minute, Doc. VUCA?
VUCA.
It comes down to that.
VUCA.
All right.
Volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That's the world we live in today.
Say that again.
Volatile, uncertain,
complex,
and ambiguous.
Wow.
Volatile, you never know what's going to happen in this world.
We're going to remember that, ladies and gentlemen.
People say that, hey, you know what? I'll be glad when it goes back to, it'll never go back to the way it was. It'll go back to a new way of norm, right? So, and who's to know when it's going to change again? Because we have experts on TV right now saying that there's going to be another pandemic, probably sometime in the near future. Some people call it a plandemic, but that's a whole other story too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So situations, companies, organizations, people, because of all of the stress and death and things that's occurred in mental health, we live in a very volatile environment. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. It's uncertain. So how do you deal with these things? Because it's very complex. When you start to begin to look at the inner workings and how you move and navigate through these things, it's complex. And it's certainly ambiguous because anybody give you any straightforward directions or instruction as to how to deal with these situations?
Interesting.
And they go down into our homes. Look at what some of our kids are suffering with now in terms of mental health because of the social aspect, right? So you have teachers who are afraid to go back to school, in terms of the vaccination and the precautions that are in place. You have parents who are staying home with their kids and they're out of work. We just have a huge VUCA situation that we're dealing with right now.
As an OD specialist, you identified a lot of misbehavior, misconduct, and a lot of odd kinds of perplexed, human emotion. Might it be sometimes that you would recommend some nutraceutical or pharmacological solution sometimes?
Pharmacological? No. Right? Natural health, right? Okay. But the understanding of how to, balance these things. And honestly, listen, that's going to come from a shift in our mental mindset in valuing mental health, right? So that's going to come and shift in our mindset in terms of balancing our mental health.
We're going to talk about balancing mental health when we come right back after this message, but that's an interesting point. Come on right back. And we're back here on the Athlete United platform. We've been talking to Dr. Darren Brown. Interesting conversation, kind of compelling points he was making. As we broke, we were talking about something relative to traumatic events and volatile situations human beings are exposed to, and how it creates real trauma. Dr. Can you lead us into that a little bit?
Yeah. So on the last segment, we talked about some of those. I thought that was on vibrate. Let me turn that down.
That's traumatic in itself.
That's traumatic by itself.
Excuse me, Audible. I told you never to call me here. That kind of thing.
So, but back to what we were talking about just now in terms of, in the last segment we talked about just the kind of VUCA environment we're going through. And yes, I will lead us into it. We go through a lot of stuff. We have a lot of baggage in organizational behavior. And one of the things that it's important for us to recognize, or at least to have into our mindset, we do suffer a lot of times from PTSD and we don't even know it.
Not even aware.
And so sometimes, I think you were asking a question about, fragmentation and bullets and ammunition.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Yes. People who are necessarily exposed to, trauma and ordnance and military kinds of engagement, can suffer from PTSD.
PTSD is not just for the military. Yes, so that's not taking anything away from our military people who sacrifice for us. The traumatic events that they go through are tremendously, tragic events that many of us might not be able to stomach, or many of us may never experience.
Sure. Hopefully.
So I don't want to take anything from them.
Indeed.
But I will tell you that other people also suffer from PTSD. So when you understand what it is, so PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. And very simply put, after you go through an event that you consider traumatic or stress to your own psychology or your own emotion, you begin to develop psychological and mental and emotional stress. It could be a bad relationship or a marriage or anything. You could lose a home, lose a child, lose a loved one. And you might be in a stage of denial because you do also go through the emotional cycle of change. And you might say, well, hey, it's not impacting me, but sooner or later, it does come out in behaviors. And we see it all the time in relationships with men and women, where men or women might treat their next relationship a little bit tougher, a little bit raw, and have more stringent behaviors because of what they went through. That is an outward behavior of post-traumatic stress disorder. We see it in the street all the time, where young African-American men, are abrasive toward authority because of things that they've went through, either in their kids or just some mental things. But post-traumatic stress disorder is real in all of our lives in one way or another, and that's an introspection point for us.
Wow. Do you sit as part of your consultation, stay with an organization to, act as a therapist or a counselor?
I do. So there's three steps to it, right? So, and one step is a behavioral. The second is psychodynamic, and the third one is root cause. Root cause we kind of stay away from because it's more clinical, right? And so we want to do that in a clinical setting. But behavior is where we ask people to understand their own behavior and the impact that it has on others. So we're talking about self-awareness, and we're talking about social awareness. We're talking about self-management and relationship management. So what do you do based on where you've been, and how does it impact the team that you work with on a day-to-day basis? Same thing for your family, right? And so there's another one that says, okay, now at the moment that you were, once you have self-awareness, at the moment you were recognizing those behaviors, what were you feeling at that moment? That's the psychodynamic aspect. So yes, we do use those levels inside of organizational behavior, but we try to stay with the top two, just the cognitive behavior and the psychodynamic. The root cause is something different. That might bring up something in the workplace that we don't want to bring up. And we might recommend, clinical help for those individuals.
This is some powerful stuff, Doctor. I could sit here and talk to you all day. This stuff is compelling to me. I love to talk about human behavior and why we do what we do.
Yes.
But we're going to have you back sometime, huh?
I'll be looking forward to coming back, Big Man.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Thanks a lot, Doc.
Thank you as well.
All
Appreciate it.
Gonna hear that this time next week, ladies and gentlemen, we hope. Anyway, for another edition of Athletes United on the Edge Radio Network, for truth still matters. We're out. We'll see you this time.